Hi, welcome back to part 44 of Neil Donaldson's Lotus XL restoration. In this video I'm going to remove the dashboard of the car. There's a few jobs I need to do when removing the dashboard. The first and most obvious thing is, of course, to replace the leather on the dashboard, the covering of the dashboard. I mean, it's one of the most ugly things in the car, is how the leather is shrunk and cracked all along the dashboard itself. So that's the main reason for removing the dashboard. But there's also another couple of other small jobs that I want to do once the dashboard has been removed. The first thing, other than replacing the leather, is to do with the wiper motor, which has been causing problems pretty much since I bought the car. The wipers work fine in themselves, but after it's been running for about 15 minutes or so, the wiper motor actually fails to switch off. So I want to try and investigate that problem a little bit further and see what could be causing that. There are some other smaller jobs that I want to do once the dashboard is removed. For example, the heater controls have become stiff with age. So I want to make sure that, maybe oil them up a bit, grease them up a bit, check the mechanisms. The heater controls work okay, but I don't get fresh air vents. I don't get fresh air from the top vents. It works fine to the windscreen and fine to the floor, but I don't get any fresh air to the front vents. So I want to investigate that as well. Yeah, the whole process of removing the dashboard. I've got some notes to help me along to do this. I'll just show you them. Yeah, on the XL forum, so lotusxl.net, there's an article here by Richard Gosling. So Richard, you're under the spotlight now, you're on trial. And he's kindly put together some notes here about removing the dashboard on my particular car, which is basically from 1985 onwards, is written in this document here. The dashboard changed quite considerably from 1985 into the later models. So I'm going to follow these notes from Richard and see if I can successfully remove the dashboard. There's no time like the present. Let's get on with it. So, to start with removing the XL dashboard, the first thing you've got to do, according to the notes, is to remove these seat covers, which I've already done, obviously, when I came to remove the rear three-quarter panels. Once they're done, we have to concentrate on this centre bit here. What's holding this in place, let's clear out all this shit from here, is there's two screws here, 1, 2, then they'll come out, so I'll just undo those. Two screws removed, the oddsman tray will just come out like that. And that reveals then another screw, which is there, and that holds, I think, this bit in here. And I think it holds the whole bit in as well, but I'll remove this screw next from there. Now, with that rear screw out of there, I think this bit will pull out. I'm going to remove the gear knob, which just kind of unscrews. Yeah. And also, in my car, you probably won't be able to do this in your car because this will be secured in. But because this is mangled, this handbrake cover thing is mangled in mine, which needs to be redone. I can just pull that out, and I can see all those kind of the Velcro things in here, which probably sort of sticks that loosely in there. But yeah, this actually now pulls out. As you can see, I might have to remove the gear knob thing up here, but I think that will just pull off now. Let me just try that with two hands. Hang on. Yeah, that just pulls out of the gear. You may have something secure in the bottom of the fabric to the gear knob there, probably a piece of wire or a zip tie or something like that. But again, it should just pull out, and then this will now come out, as does. Right, so now we've got this centre bit here. I think it's in two pieces. It does look like it. Yeah. Again, on mine, I'm not sure if there was originally 4. It looks like there was 4 screws at one time in there, but mine doesn't seem to have them. So I guess this will just pull out, it does. Yeah, so that's the centre trim completely out of the car. Let me remove it now. It's that simple. And then we can concentrate more towards the front. And this bit here, there's probably some screws and stuff in there, but I think I'm going to have to take... yeah, I need to get this out first. There's some screws sort of down there. But let me remove this centre bit first here, and we'll take it from there. Now, to remove this front bit here, there's one screw here, and there was one screw there, but that's not present anymore in my car. And looking at that screw there, it looks like I'm going to have to try that with an impact driver, because it looks rusty, and already the cross threads there seem to be, yeah, not great, shall we say. But let me try and do that with an impact driver. No, that's not budging, so it's going to have to be drilled out. So what becomes a couple of minutes job or a couple of seconds job now becomes a bit of a fight. It didn't take as long as I intended. Actually, I've only been here about 2 minutes, and yeah, it's, although the stud is still in there, I did manage to get the head of the screw off. Now, when you're drilling nuts and bolts and shit, go slowly. Heat's your enemy here for 2 reasons. The first is that it blunts your drill bit, so you need to sharpen it again. And the second reason is that it work hardens the material, so it makes it, it's sort of what you does a process called annealing, which makes the material harder, which is also your enemy. So if you see little bits of filing like this, that means it's a good thing. It means it's cutting into the metal. It's the next morning now, and continuing the dashboard removal. I'm going to remove the radio. Unfortunately, with the radio, to remove the radio on this car, probably you don't have to do it, but I actually have to remove the gear stick. It won't pass quite out of there because of the aerial socket thing that sticks in the bottom of the radio there. So I'm going to have to remove the gear stick. What I'm going to do is first, I'm just going to hoover up in here a little bit because it's a bit of a mess. To remove the gear stick, there's 4 very small screws that holds this bit of trim and plastic in place. They need to come out first. Then remove that bit, the plastic bit. Obviously unscrew the top of the gear knob. Pull them off. Now it's held in place by, there's another rubber bit here which is damaged on mine, and then there's 4 nuts, there's 4 bolts underneath that which need to come off. Let's see if I can just remove this plastic bit. This rubber bit, sorry. Yeah, you can see the 4 nuts there, sorry, 4 bolts. I'll undo them as well. Probably better off using a magnet here as well, because it's very easy to drop those in there. Those 4 nuts removed, it literally just pulls off the gear stick. So I'll put that to the side for now. I'll replace it once the radio's out. Pull the radio out and detach the 3 connections from there. One for the GPS, the main electrics, and also for the antenna. Now that literally just pulls out. And I think most things will detach there quite easily, except for the choke cable, which has to be detached from the carburetor itself, and sort of the wire threaded through here. It won't detach any other way. I'll leave that for now. What I'll do is I'll start taking off these wooden panels, and yeah, and then the steering wheel, I think. The wooden panels first, which are held on with 4 bolts, 4 nuts, screws, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. The wooden panels are off. I'll put them somewhere safe. The next thing I'll concentrate then is the steering wheel. This rubber bit here just pulls off. Again, put that somewhere safe. The horn bit pulls out as well, and you can disconnect the horn. That should just pull off there. I'll do it with two hands, just give me a sec. Yeah, it just pulls off. There's nothing, there's no clip or anything, it just pulls straight out of there. And then I need to undo that nut, but I'm not going to remove it completely. I think it's a 17mm, but let me just check. No, it's more than that. I think it's a 19mm. It's a 19mm. I'm going to just loosen it a couple of turns, but not pull it off completely. And the reason is I'm going to attach a puller to that, and I don't want it to come flying off the whole steering wheel. Attach your puller then appropriately. Yeah, and it snaps off, as you can see. Remove the puller now. I mean, it came up that easily because I've done this sort of about a year ago, I would say, something like that. With yours, it might be a bit more of a hassle. And yeah, I was going to mark the steering wheel, but well, you can see the position it's in. Plus, it's not completely, it's at an angle slightly when I'm going straight down the road, so I'll set it again properly at a later date, but off it comes anyway. Once again, I'll put that safe. Remove the plastic shroud here that is held on, I think, by 4 screws underneath there. 1, 2, 3, 4 there. Yeah, it was a little bit awkward to remove that, and you need to just be a bit careful when pulling it out to make sure it goes over the steering lift adjuster, which is there. I actually had to put the whole steering column in its downward position to clear the plastic shroud, but it will come out. And now I'll start with the instruments, which are held in by 4 screws. Once those 4 screws are removed, you can start easing it out. Okay. Now, there's 2 connectors in here. I've had this out plenty of times. There's the speedometer cable here, which is sort of where my fingers are there. And there's this electrical connector. You need to release that tab there and it'll come apart, so I'll do just that now. Speedometer cable literally just unscrews out. Mine's cable's damaged here, so I've got to be a bit careful when you put that in, because that connector there has got to fit into the snug into the speeder itself, and that sort of turns with the engine, and that's what gives you your speed reading. And so that's got to fit in, otherwise you get nothing. And I've been warned about that by the MOT station, but there you go. So with the gauges out of the way, I'm going to focus on this really flimsy bit of plastic here, which seems to be held on. It's supposed to be held on by 2 screws, but I've obviously got one missing. It looks like someone's been here before, and I don't just mean me, even though I do make these kind of mistakes sometimes as well. That thing comes out. I don't know what they were thinking of when they made that, but it is pathetically brittle. So with that out the way, I'm going to focus on the surrounds for the heaters and the vents here. I'm going to remove these 4 screws here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I presume these 2, 1, 2, 3, 4 flathead screwdrivers. Flathead screwdriver will be required for them. That will separate this from the actual heater controls themselves. So let me do that. Before I go any further with that, actually, I was just thinking here, the best thing to do is I'm going to tackle these connectors at the back for the front rear fog lights and the rear heated screen, and this seems to be a temperature sensor which is there, so that looks like it'll separate. They look like they'll pull out, so blue at the top, obviously red and white, which you can see clearly on film. In fact, the controls themselves, you can just pull them straight out, I think. Yeah, I'll do just that. Now these 4 flathead screw bolts. Yeah, so once those 4 screws are loose, the heating panel just comes out. Now these are a pain in the arse to get into, these horribly flimsy things here. Yeah, getting them back in is going to be a pain in the arse. It looks like I managed to get one in properly, but the other one I didn't. Okay, so I guess we're getting close to being able to... Yeah, I should now concentrate, I think, on the choke here. I think I've got a bit better access. Let me see if I can find out exactly where that goes through the bulkhead, the firewall bulkhead, and remove it out, and then I can start removing some of the cables behind the bottom panel there. Just done a bit of fiddling about to see where the choke cable, and it sort of goes through there, and behind that pipe, the duct there, where my fingers are wiggling now, that's where it goes through the bulkhead. I'll try and disconnect it from the carburetor first. To undo the choke cable from the engine side, you need 2 7mm spanners to hold that nut and to undo it there, counter nut. Then that should pull through there, and on there. I think I'm just going to have to straighten this out properly to push it through the bulkhead. Now I can just pull choke cable out. So I'm going to start removing these electrical wires. So it looks like the choke has got I don't know if that's for a light or what it is, but there's 2 connectors here. The lights, that's the switch for the dimmer of the dashboard. It's got 3 connectors. This is the cigar lighter, purple on the black and a red and white. Now that looks like there's a bulb attached to that. And this is the clock. Purple and black. Let me just put the camera down and sort that out. And out she comes, which is held in by 4 sort of things. Yeah, which is basically just push it in place there. That's all that's holding that in. I'm going to see if I can remove these stalks just in case they get in the way when removing the dash. So I've already removed one of the screws in there, and then it looks like it's held in by 3 other. I mean, yeah, so that sort of detaches there, and it's certainly enough out of the way that it won't interfere with me removing the dash. Now I'll just have a look, because I think we're already ready to start removing this top bit here. The one thing that I've just been through Richard's notes again, and the one thing I haven't done yet is remove the ducts for the side vents, and I think this literally you just pull them off. Yeah, I think there's another one for this side which is already off. As it happens, it wasn't even on. So they're off now. They're off now as well, these ducts here. Now, the next bit is to actually remove this black bit here. Now, there's 5 nuts in total that must come off. And I think there's 1, 2, 3. Not sure where the 4th is. Is it under here? Let me see. And there's what Richard affectionately calls the bastard nut, which I think is kind of behind here. Now there is a piece of silicone which is supposed to be held on. I can actually feel it. But yeah, I'm going to have to try and remove that out and see if I can get to that without too much stress. Let me have a go. It's the piece of silicone hose that's supposed to be attached. Well, it was supposed to be attached, but now it's not. Yeah, it's already out, so I don't know. Yeah, mine's crumbled off, so I'm not sure if I can get this out. Let me try. I still haven't managed to get the bastard nut out yet, but I'm taking the others out. Yeah, the little small thrust washer, 10mm nut. There's 2 down there as well. Now I'm almost there, but not quite. It seems to be that there's a hidden nut sort of underneath this connector here, sort of behind there, which I'm going to have to try and get off. And I think I'm almost there. I haven't got the, as I say, still haven't got the bastard nut off yet, but I'm figuring that I might be able to get that out when I take the actual dashboard out complete, basically 2 pieces together. So the dash is now coming out. It's sort of wedged there a bit. Yeah, I'm going to have to see if it's being held in somewhere else at the moment, but I'm almost there. It's coming. Yeah. I'll just have a look around just to make sure that I'm not damaging anything when I'm pulling it out. Yeah, and obviously I'll report back if there is something that needs to be still detached. Don't forget to thread the heater duct piping through, otherwise it won't come out. I haven't seen a way to detach it here from this end, but probably when I get it out it will become a lot more obvious. So you need to thread that through there, and then I think we're just about out. Yeah, it seems like there's a switch. It's probably to the door opening switch here, which I haven't detached yet. So I'm going to have to crawl under there and see. And I think that's the last thing to come out. Yeah, they're quite awkward to get your hands in there and pull them out, but they will just pop out when you manage to get your fingers on them. So, ladies and gents, I think I'm ready to pull the dash out. Yeah, last but not least, guys, you need to detach this, and I think it's held in by 2 screws there. So that's the bottom, that's the vent for the feet. So here we are, chaps, it's out. The bastard nut's not out, that's still to... I'll see if I can get something on that and pull it out. But there we have it. One dashboard from a Lotus XL removed. Yeah, and it's not been as big a job as I thought, actually. It's taken me just over a couple of hours, but most of that was trying to get that bastard nut out, which I haven't actually got out yet. Yeah, you know, just take your time with it. Just make sure all the ducts and stuff are free. This wasn't bolted in either, so the other side was, and that needed to come off before, the lower ducts need to come off before the dash comes out. Yeah, and my screws were not, which basically holds it in, they were not in place, so I guess somebody's attempted this before and made a bit of a hash of it. I did manage to loosen it. Managed to attach a pair of pliers around the outside lip, and now as you can see it's coming off. Well, I hope you can see that. Hang on. There we go, it's off. I honestly don't know what Lotus were thinking of with that. You know, they could have just used some kind of nut that you just put a socket on the end, a long socket on the end of it, or something to that nature. But this solution is, my god. Anyway, it's done. The dashboard's out of the car, as you can see, ready to be stripped of all its leather and other stuff, and re-upholstered, along with a few of the other bits lying around. Yes, I guess that concludes the video for today for removing the dashboard. Once again, guys, thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already subscribed, and also click the like button. That helps promote the videos as well. But, the next video shouldn't be a long time away. It'll probably be stripping the wiper motor. And until then, thanks for watching. Cheerio.